All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today what we're going to be talking about is YMAG versus FEPI. And the reason being is because these two ETFs are both within the same space. They both invest in very similar companies and have very similar strategies. And what I want to do today is I want to take you through the dividend yields of each of these ETFs, and I also want to take you through the share price appreciation of each of these ETFs, because one is specifically for income and doesn't necessarily have the objective of increasing capital appreciation, yet it's actually doing better than FEPI, and I want to touch on that in this video. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to show you about the holdings of each of these companies, and I want to kind of just lay the foundation of what these companies do, how they might perform in the future, and then potentially which one I might want to invest in, because I am looking for example, a new covered call strategy ETF, which has a high yield, but could also potentially have a touch of appreciation. So that's what we're talking about in this video. And you know what, if you guys do enjoy, we're up to 4,387 subscribers, getting closer to that 4,400 subscriber marker. So please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so. So I'm not saying YMAG anymore. I was getting roasted in the comments for saying YMAG. So YMAG, that's how you say this Yieldmax fund, I hope. But this is the Yieldmax Magnificent 7 fund of option income ETFs. And basically, just to kind of go over a little history about this YMAG fund, they've been out for the past, it looks like 2 months or so, roughly about 2 to 3 months. They have a distribution yield, which is about 35%. They have kind of an investment strategy where they don't invest in the underlying. What they do is they invest in the Yieldmax option income strategy ETFs. So they invest in the Amazon income strategy ETF, the Apple, Meta, we have Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla, and they're all centered around tech companies. These are all tech companies in the tech space, and so these are both naturally tech ETFs, and so is FEPI. But sticking with YMAG here right now, one thing that I really wanted to point out here was there was a couple of things talking about its underlying securities, where they don't invest into the actual funds. What they do is they hold. The fund is a fund of funds, meaning that it primarily invests in assets in the shares of other ETFs. And when they say other ETFs, they're referring to their own Yieldmax ETF. So they don't invest directly into Apple. What they do is they invest directly into other Yieldmax ETFs. So this is really a Yieldmax ETF holding of 7 different Yieldmax ETFs. They're all in the tech space. And so far, we could see that we have to compare it to the S&P 500, because I feel this is the best measure of comparison for these funds. All these 7 funds are in the S&P 500, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, etc. And comparing it to the S&P 500, I believe, is the best comparison, as it shows you how well the market is performing compared to this ETF. So when we're looking at the S&P 500 back in February 1st, we'll do that. It was about $4,900, and you can see here now it's at about $5,100. Kind of had a little bit of a drawdown, and we can see when going back to the Yieldmax YMAG stock price chart, you can see here February 1st we're at $19.75, and it's roughly about the same, about $20.68. So a little bit of appreciation from the YMAG fund, while YMAG has actually paid out 2 dividends. So I do believe that YMAG is actually performing better than the S&P 500 at the current time being. But if the S&P 500 does go to the downside, we're going to see YMAG go to the downside. And so that is going to be something to watch out for. Now, we're going to compare it to FEPI. And FEPI, I also got mentioned by someone in the comments. I hope that I could find them here, but they mentioned to me that YMAG holds FEPI holds about, yes, Antonio Mosby. He said FEPI holds 15 stocks and writes covered calls on them. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Antonio. Why? FEPI, I keep saying YMAG. FEPI, although it says it holds 120 stocks or ETFs right here, it really holds 15 stocks. And those are these ones here. These are the 10 here. We have, as I mentioned before, Micron, Google, Broadcom, Meta, Amazon, Tesla. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you could see here they write covered calls, and you could see this by their actual weighting and their net value. These are investments within the companies themselves and the stocks themselves, and then they write covered calls on this. This is how it's really different from YMAG, because YMAG holds Yieldmax funds. They are synthetic, meaning they don't own any Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook. They have a synthetic covered call strategy which looks to replicate the price action but does not own any of the underlying. FEPI, they own the underlying and they write covered calls on them. So that's the real difference within the strategy. But as well, it's also different what they hold too. They hold Micron, which is different. They hold Broadcom, which is different, which is also a great stock. I'm not sure if they don't hold Netflix in the Yieldmax version here. As where can we see that? Hey, there we go. They don't hold Salesforce. They don't hold this Palo Alto. They don't hold Adobe. I'm not sure if they don't hold AMD or Intel as well. So those are kind of the main differences. If you believe those companies might do better, then maybe you want to look to invest into the FEPI Covered Call Strategy ETF over the YMAG Yieldmax Synthetic Calls Covered Call Strategy ETF. But one thing I do want to show you is going back to February 1st, going back to the same markers here. See that FEPI was at about $55.80, and it's currently below that at $54.93. So although FEPI, one of its claims is to bring income, but also capital appreciation at the same time. It says here, investment objectives are capital appreciation and current income. You could see that they've actually performed worse in terms of capital appreciation than YMAG, the Yieldmax fund. So that's something as well. Keep in mind how these two ETFs are going to perform on the capital appreciation mark. And the funny thing is YMAG has performed better and it currently has a higher dividend yield. So I'm not saying that YMAG is better by any means. They are different strategies. One is synthetic, one is an actual covered call strategy ETF where they own the underlying. But it's all going to be dependent on how these 7 companies do, and then how the different companies that are in FEPI, how those do, and those will separate kind of the two ETFs we have here. And once again, if you're ever looking for what these ETFs might do in the future, you want to kind of track the S&P 500. I do believe this is the best marker for these funds, and I keep saying that, I keep repeating it, but I do believe that's true. So just something to keep in mind if you are investing in these funds. Kind of check what the S&P 500 is doing. I would probably like to buy these two funds when the S&P 500 is viewed at a lower point or a down point. And that is when I might buy some YMAG or I might buy some FEPI. I will let you guys know which one I will buy in the future, because I do want to buy one kind of tech ETF, quote unquote, and I believe this is the best way to do it with some great dividends and some potential for capital appreciation. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, we're up to 4,387 subscribers. I want to say a little thank you to you to making it to the end. Comment below if you did. And I want to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope this video gave you some value, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.